This is the Grow Your Business for Good show. We're your hosts. I'm Shannon Hernandez.
And I'm Amy Hager.
This show explores what happens when a business outgrows its message and what it takes to rebuild messaging systems that carry the full depth of your work.
Each episode breaks down how messaging shapes trust, authority, and decision making, and why many established businesses find themselves explaining more while being understood less. We focus on the strategic shifts founders and leadership teams need to make when clarity alone isn't enough, so their expertise comes through without oversimplifying it.
Why does your thought leadership no longer reflect how deeply your thinking has evolved?
If your thinking has evolved, but your thought leadership still sounds like an earlier version of you, this is more common than people actually realize.
And today, Amy and I are going to talk about why this happens and what it actually means for you and your business. Now, before we dive in today, Amy and I have taken a little bit of a hiatus. You might have noticed. We were on this road of publishing our podcast, and it was all good. But guess what? Shannon got a little burned out on the format. So I said to Amy, let's take some time off. Let's revision this. And then in the process, a whole bunch of crazy stuff happened. I moved to Spain. Amy sitting in a snowstorm and hates winter with every ounce and fiber in her body. And I'm over here walking the Mediterranean Sea daily. And, life just kept lifing. We needed to reposition some things here at Joyful Business Revolution, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But it has now inspired a whole new year of content coming your way. And Amy and I are really excited to be back with you.
Yeah, and I think the other really fun update is we do have a new editor, Savannah. So giving you a quick shout out, girl. Thank you so much for helping us out and making this go live. And I think that even while all these busy things in life was lifing was happening, the real amazing thing is we continue to get clear on our messaging. Who do we help? And what is it that you all need to hear from us to help your businesses? So I'm really excited about this season and to really dive into some new, I guess, methodologies that we've gotten clearer on so that you can understand even better.
Yeah, one of the things that I did is I kind of went into a hole the month of December. And besides moving to Valencia, I really re-envisioned one of our main bodies of work called the profit-driven messaging ecosystem. And so you're going to hear about that more as we talk throughout the episodes throughout this year. And, I think one of the things that we have to do as thought leaders is we have to remain relevant with what's going on in the marketplace, in our own experience, and with our perspective. And so I just want to tell you all right now, it is a-okay if you need to go into a hole for 30 or 60 days and do whatever you do in that hole and come out clearer with sharper messaging and positioning that is so aligned with what you believe in your point of view that you can't wait to share it again. And so that's what we're hoping to inspire you with in this season of 10 episodes. You're going to hear is all around your thought leadership. What is it? How do you hone it? What happens when you lose it? Why is the message no longer feeling good to you, even though you're invested in the body of work? These are the very things that I went into my hole to figure out. And Amy and I are back with you now.
Yeah. And so when we think about thought leadership and how no matter where you are in your journey, it's going to remain relevant when it evolves alongside you, alongside your perspectives, alongside your experiences. And, Shannon, yes, going into a hole meant that she was working on this internally, but also there was a lot of conversations to be had. And really, when you can have thoughtful conversations with someone that asks you questions, and you're in this space where you realize those questions aren't questioning your authority, but helping you get clearer, that is a beautiful space to co-create. And so since we just kind of gone through this, Shannon, I think it would be really interesting to pinpoint some of the gaps that we were feeling and some of the gaps that we see when we're working with our clients, so that if someone else listening to this is like, well, what exactly do you mean? What does this look like? They can kind of go along with that.
Yeah. So let's spend a few minutes talking about gaps, and you can really see yourself here and see, does this resonate with you? And maybe you're through it or maybe you're in it. Most likely, I hate to break the news, but it will probably happen again because that is how thought leadership works. But one of the things that I was noticing in my own content, my own body of work, was because AI is now so prevalent in what is happening in our daily lives, in the world of business, et cetera, my message was lagging. I'm going to call it a lag. It wasn't that the message broke. It was just that it wasn't fully, completely aligned, nor what I would say potent with my point of view of where I think it's okay to use AI in your business, where I'm using AI in the business, where AI just makes things murky and you get 42 freaking copies of something that's almost right. And then you're spinning around and you're like, wait, didn't we do this like 2 days ago? Like, why am I seeing this shit again? And so this is what was happening, right? As I was working on my own body of work. So here's what I want you to know from this, okay? Mature leadership reflects two things, and this is two things the marketplace is looking for, and your clients are looking to you for. One, judgment. Can you come back out and say, that was true then, but right now I need to change my mind. And right now, this is what I'm thinking. And right now, I think this is what's going to happen in the world of messaging and marketing in 2026, or whatever your specialty is. So our most discerning customers and clients, they're looking for our judgment. They're looking for us to say we don't have all the answers, and they're looking for synthesis of information. And so Amy and I did a training last week, and one of the things that we really talked about was we have to stop as thought leaders and leaders in business, and we have to show our work. Right. And that feels really uncomfortable, to have to show your work and say, I actually don't know the answer to this right now. I actually don't know how I feel about this right now. But I want you all to embrace that. Right. Because you're not supposed to be the all knowing, all being universal God who has all the answers.
Right. And I think that when we're early on in our leadership and in our, foundership of our businesses, sometimes we really emphasize that proof. And so if you can feel the difference between emphasizing proof and synthesizing, Shayna's picking really hard words for me to use today as she's like dropping all this knowledge.
I'm the words gal.
I think that's when you're really realizing that the work has evolved probably quietly. And so if you're not feeling the proof part of your leadership that we really feel early on in leadership, and you are more on that place where you can pause, make some judgments on your own leadership, and really synthesize and show people, demonstrate them how you got from the point A to the point B. That I feel like is really the differences between early leadership messaging and mature leadership messaging.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I also just want to normalize that this shit is uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
When we're in this place, in this gap, the reason it feels uncomfortable is because we may have resistance to posting because we haven't quite fleshed out the new message, right? And we're like, oh, I don't know if that's quite right. And so, there's a couple things, at least in my brain, that happens. I have a resistance to post, which is not normal for me. And then I make myself wrong for not posting. And then I'm in this like shame spiral of like, what the hell do you actually believe anymore, Shannon? Like, what the hell is going on? Right.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that feels uncomfortable. The other thing is you might just be bored with your own damn ideas.
Yeah.
And listen, Amy knows this. She has been such a huge proponent of my very first body of work, the content personality wheel. I got so bored after 8 years of talking about that. We actually took a break for 2 years. And finally, this is the year I said, now I see how it can fit into this bigger way that I think. And I think Amy breathed like a big sigh of relief because she's waiting for me to come back on board with the body of work.
And I think, we talk about we want to create boring businesses, brilliantly boring businesses. And so I think there's a little bit of difference though when your business is running smoothly, when you're not having like those oh shit moments or constantly putting out dumpster fires. That's not a brilliantly boring business. Boredom with your own ideas is going to feel very, very different. I don't want to say that there is a calm, but there's this thing where you can almost say like this doesn't quite sound like me anymore, even though the content personality work is very good work and has helped thousands of people. Shannon was feeling like it doesn't quite sound like me anymore, and we've been able to figure out where it does go in the fold now. And so everything externally probably looks fine, but internally, something feels extremely misaligned. And it's okay to listen to those nuggets and to really, I'm going to say, start digging into it a little bit. Start asking yourself the questions. Start really reflecting. Maybe asking your closest business besties or even some of your past clients or some of your potential clients. Again, when we go through this process, it's not you sit with yourself on it forever. It really, again, will come clear by you being curious and asking questions.
Yes, and experimenting, right? I did a lot of
Yes.
experimentation and people were probably looking on the outside and be like, what the hell is Shannon up to now? But I was running post after post, LinkedIn newsletter, it didn't matter, newsletter, email newsletter. If you had to choose A or B to work with me, which one would you choose?
Yeah.
If you had to choose this sounds like you or this sounds like you, which one would you choose? And that is how I want you to have the courage to validate your messaging, because you can't do this messaging in a bubble, as Amy is alluding to. Like, it's freaking hard, right? It's hard for a messaging strategist. And I had to go to my peer groups. I had to get out back in the community and hear what people were talking about, what their problems were. And I think it's really important to recognize here, our business and the revenue did not stop during this, right? It wasn't a
Right.
marketing problem. At the end of the day, it was an identity problem.
Mm.
Shannon has grown as a leader. Amy has grown alongside her. If we're going to use this body of work, I need it to match what we've gone through and where we're headed.
Yeah.
And that is huge. And so this is one of the reasons it'll feel really uncomfortable. And I want you all, if you're listening, to just know, don't make this about you being broken and you needing fixed. I
Right.
want you to say, I am growing and evolving as a leader, and I need to step into this new identity.
Right.
And that was a lot of the work that I was doing in the hole.
Right. Exactly. And I think what you said this just a little bit ago, so I kind of want to pull it back. You were trying to make posts, which come very easily to you normally. And all this, not all of a sudden, but it started to not become easy. You kind of started to resist posting and then judge yourself what you did post. And so when we think about what shows up for people when this is really true and this is the stage in the journey that they're on, some people try to push through and just post more and it doesn't feel aligned. Sometimes you try to reword your old ideas. My copy just needs to be refreshed with new words. And that is not going to help you get very far. You're chasing sharper hooks, you're outsourcing a refresh. These fixes, I would say, are more output, and it's not necessarily reflecting the evolution that you've gone through as a thought leader and as I'm going to say as an expert. And so if this is kind of showing up and you're like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I'm posting more, but it doesn't feel aligned," or we are refreshing our copy again on our website and just rewording the old idea, and it's still not feeling aligned, like it feels like a shirt that's just a little too tight, that's
And show in my jelly roll.
that's exactly where you're at. I mean, we get it. Shannon was showing a
Thanks,
jelly
Amy.
roll.
Amy just agreed. I have a jelly roll. Wait, what's it really called? It's not a jelly roll.
Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be
A
able to think of
biscuit?
words. It's way
What's
too
it?
early for me.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. That
Yes.
little flap of fatty skin. Muffin
Yes.
top.
Oh my
Muffin top.
God. Yes. There you go. There you go. It took us a few minutes to get there, y'all, but this is why we're messaging experts and we're really great with words. We will eventually get
So, back to
there.
what Amy was saying before I got sidetracked with baked goods.
Squirrel.
Um, the refreshing, sharper hooks need new angles. It's going to be band-aids. All right. I can tell you, I've been through this many times. I didn't have the words for it all the times prior, but now I do. All right. So we need to stop at the band-aids, and you have to evolve your lens that you look at the world through, look at the marketplace through. Okay. It's not your expertise that needs the shift. It's the lens that needs the shift. You need to go out
Mm.
and talk to people, go into rooms you would never be in. Oh my God. In Valencia, someone just convinced me to go to a workshop Thursday night, Amy, and it's on um, investing in stocks. And I looked at
Okay.
him and I'm like,
Hmm.
why? I do not want to sit in that workshop. He said, because the people there have money and they're going to be wondering how to invest in stocks. And I
Yeah.
think the entrepreneurs in the room may need your business, you may need your expertise. And I'm like, oh, well,
Hmm.
that's a good lens to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I definitely get that.
Yeah.
Um,
So, and Amy, before you jump in, I just want to say one thing. A lot of this is about editing out what you no longer need to say. You
yeah.
have evolved. Like anyone who knows me knows how I feel about AI messaging, knows how I feel about content creation. All the new people coming into our world, they don't need to read and sift through all that stuff. We need to get them
Right.
on board with what's happening now. What is
Right.
the expertise? What is the positioning? What are we trying to help you do in your brand and in your business? And that way we're not stuck in those old versions of ourselves.
Right. And I think, again, you're bringing perspective over proof when you're in conversations, when you're creating your content, when you're showing up in community. And it's what you're noticing now and sharing in that moment, being really authentic, really true to your heart, and knowing that the people who feel connected to your heart and the words that you're saying are going to ask more. They're going to be curious. The people who are like, no, I'm here at this investment workshop to learn about investments and I'm not an entrepreneur, are probably going to walk away from Shannon and be like, well, all right, whatevs. And that's okay too. So you really want to, when you think about it, you really want to attract just a few people at a time so that you can have those really in-depth conversations that build those deep relationships.
Yeah, and I think the word thought leader, I want to address this because the next 9 episodes, I'm going to use the word. Okay,
Okay.
when I came out of the classroom 13 years ago as a public school teacher, the word thought leader was very normal to me because I came from academia, because I have a bachelor's degree in education. And people did want to be seen as a thought leader in education and research because you were pushing the thought or the thinking of society on your expertise, or you were pushing the boundaries of how people think about what it is that your gift is to the world, right? And so when I came out 13 years ago and started this business, wouldn't you know, full circle moment, it hit me when I was burrowed in my hole. Holy shit. I am right back to where I started, which is how do you build your thought leadership? How do you explain your body of work with a message that pulls people in and they hang around and they ask questions, right? And how do you position yourself in this world now with AI? I didn't have that to deal with. 13 years ago. But in the world of AI, how are we positioning your body of work, your expertise, your skills, your messaging, your website, your newsletters, your book? I could go on, right? How are we helping you position it so that within 5 words, people know your big idea? That is hard work, y'all. Yeah. That is hard work. And so if you don't resonate with the word thought leader, right? I learned this 13 years ago. People were like, oh, she's not for me. I am not a thought leader. Like, they had really strong opinions about this word. Okay. Then I want you to say, okay, an expert in my subject matter, or a thinking leader, somebody who thinks about things and shares their thinking, right? I don't want you to tune out because you're like, oh, I'm not a thought leader. I actually am going to ask you to check your identity and see if you need to step into your thought leadership on a deeper level over the next 9 episodes.
Nice. And so as you're thinking through, and as we're just kind of wrapping up what we've been talking through today, I think what I'm hearing Shannon say is we need to think together, not necessarily teach anymore. Again, I think that's the difference between the proofing of your expertise as an early leader, or emphasizing the proof of what you do, where the mature leadership is really going to be more reflective. And right now, if you're sitting here and you're like, why are Amy and Shannon in my mind right now? It's creepy. I get it. What I want you to operate from is calm authority over completeness. There's no fixing, there's no tactics, there's no urgency. Yes, you feel like something is off, but you need to give yourself space to get clear. You need to be in conversation, be in curiosity, and be in question. So it may be feeling true. And for right now, I want you to say, that's enough.
That's enough. And you can tune right in to the next episode when it drops, and we'll continue this conversation. I do want to say, if you have found yourself explaining your work more than you should, more than you used to, it feels harder, I have good news for you. I've redesigned and updated our profit-driven messaging ecosystem guide, and you can download it at joyfulbusinessrevolution.com/profit messaging.
Well, we will see you next time. But until then, have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Thank you for listening to Grow Your Business for Good. This show is a part of our work at the Joyful Business Revolution, where we help founders and leadership teams rebuild messaging systems when their work has outgrown their message. If you're explaining too much and people still don't fully understand the value of your work, you can explore more at joyfulbusinessrevolution.com.
Until next time, remember this: when your messaging system is aligned, sales conversations shorten, and your expertise comes through clearly.